Hi, we are the Sharon Moms, and today's a big day. It's our 5-year wedding anniversary. That's our guest book sign-in. Yeah, we've made it 5 years. But a little bit about us, if you've never been here before, if you have not been following us on our Instagram or blog, we have been together since we were 20, so we've been together for 12 years, and lots of things to celebrate. But today, we are going to talk about how and why we chose the California Cryobank, the sperm bank, to make our beautiful babies right here.
So last week, we published an article about why we chose the California Cryobank. And so we just wanted to put up a video explaining it a little bit more in detail, because sometimes you can't get those small little nuances in a blog post. So we're gonna dive into it, and comment below if you have any questions. We always respond to all the comments, and we're happy to give you all the information we know, because we're just happy to share. All right. So one of the biggest reasons we went with the California Cryobank is because when we first started this process, we had no idea where to begin. We didn't know what kind of timeline you needed. We didn't know, you don't see advertisements for sperm banks that often. So it's where are they, and how do you start, right? So we went to our friends and family, because I think that's the best way to kind of gauge the terrain you're about to go forward on. And so we asked our friends and family, and time again, California Cryobank was the sperm bank that they ended up using. And so that kind of had us start our journey. Doesn't mean that we didn't look at other places, but that was the first place that we looked at. And then once we had an idea of okay, this is how it kind of looks, these are the procedures, and this is the cost and all that stuff, we kind of kept exploring. But we always just came back to the California Cryobank.
All of the roadmaps we started, whether it was family resources, our doctor, Google, everything kind of kept going back to California Cryobank. So once we felt comfortable enough going deeper, once we've narrowed down our choices, what we really found with the California Cryobank, obviously their reputation precedes them. It's a place that everybody knows. They're world renowned. So they ship the sperm internationally, which I actually kind of thought was really awesome.
Well, isn't it harder to get into their sperm donation program than it is Harvard?
Yeah, they accept only 1% of applicants. Yeah. So the screenings that they do, the medical screenings, all of their donors have to go through psychologists and get analysis done and test their education. I mean, I don't know that I would qualify, not that I have the right junk, but yeah, it's harder to get into the California Cryobank than it is Harvard. They have the largest database amongst all the other sperm banks, so you have more options. So with more options, heavier screenings, for us that was a slam dunk. Then you get into the customer service element, right? We had questions, things you can't really Google, things that you're not gonna find in the FAQs, things that are gonna be unique to each family. The customer service, they were warm. They made a process that we anticipated being uncomfortable, not normal, hard, scary. They made it normal. They made us feel comfortable. And I think that speaks volumes in this kind of journey for us. And
we were with them for 7 or 8 months before we made a decision on what donor we were gonna go with. So it wasn't just a one phone call and you're done, and you never see the person again, or talk to the person again, since everything was online. But they checked in with us, and they kept coming back to us and telling
they were really great at holding our hands when we needed our hands to be held. Mm-hmm. And then I think the other really important thing is that they do limit how many families can choose a specific donor.
Yeah.
So that kind of also added to feeling safe and secure. And I really appreciated that. So those are the really big things that we looked at that were important to us and our family moving forward.
Yeah, and limiting the donors are that whole thing is just basically meaning that our children are not going to have 1,000 siblings. They're they have you report the pregnancy once it happens. Our donor happened to not have any reported pregnancies prior to our purchase of the vials, But what we've learned now is like, so we reported it, now it has a yes, pregnancies have occurred with this donor. And I think they limit it to very small amounts. They, you're not going to find any like 100 siblings or, 80 siblings. Like that's just not something they're committed to.
I think you spoke on it. It's their ethics, their morals, their reputation.
Yeah.
All of it. It's that you get it all with them. And I think in a process like this, that's at least that's what was important to us.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've done the research. We selected the California Cryobank. Now the fun began. We had to choose a donor. So I think I was on there, what, like 4 months?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't so much fun for her.
It was not so much fun for me. I was literally looking online every couple of days. I couldn't figure out how to narrow down hundreds of donors. I realized that I'm not choosing a husband. I'm not choosing a dad for my kids. I'm choosing a donor so that my wife and I can become parents. And I think I was really confronted by how do you choose a donor? I had no idea. And as time went on, obviously we were getting closer to when we were ready to start our family and to go to the doctor. And in order to get inseminated, I needed sperm. So I think I came into the bedroom one day and I threw my laptop at Britt and I said, you find him, I give up. And 20 minutes?
Yeah, 20 minutes later.
20 minutes later, Britt said, I found him. Yeah, so how did you narrow down the search?
So California Cryobank has, it's like, there's filter settings and it's almost like, online shopping. And I don't want to like, make it sound like it's degraded a little bit because it's super important, but it has that experience of like, you filter it by tons of different options. Like you could do Jewish ancestry, you could do height, you could do eye color, you could do hair color, like all that kind of stuff. And so for us, I think you had it on Jewish ancestry as like, that's something you wanted. And I think for me, I was like, our kids are gonna be raised Jewish, no matter who is the donor genetically speaking. And so I took that filter off. Funny enough, we ended up choosing a genetically ancestral person who is Jewish. They don't observe Judaism or practice it, but they are by
Jewish ancestry.
By ancestry, they're Jewish. So that was just like a coincidence, but not a deal breaker for us. And then I also could choose DNA, not DNA, blood type. Blood type. So blood type, I figured that, I know both of our blood types, and I figured we should probably have someone who is one of our blood types so that if our children need anything,
God forbid in the future, that we could be the ones that our kids rely on, which
to the best of our ability.
I actually think, although that is a personal choice for everybody, I do think that is an important one to consider.
And there's no guarantee, right? Your kid could come out with like Nathan, who has blue eyes, and we're like surprised, but I mean, he's gorgeous and I love him. like we didn't see that coming. So like, there's no guarantee when it comes to DNA, obviously, but we chose height. I think I did like 6 feet tall, 6 minimum.
And just a little bit behind the height is Britt and I are both 5'7", and we have a lot of brothers and 2 dads, and all of them are 6 foot plus. So we tried to kind of create this outline of a donor that would fit biologically into our own familial
which is
makeup.
Yeah.
So the height was 6 foot
plus. We went with brown hair because I mean,
and brown hair.
We just wanted
everybody.
A child who
we all have brown hair in our family.
Yeah.
Her family, my family, that's just the norm.
Yeah.
We actually did not narrow down by eye color.
No.
We did not care about eye color, but we cared about hair, we cared about height, and we cared about blood type. And interestingly enough, just doing those 3 narrowed down from hundreds, hundreds to no less than a dozen.
Yeah, something.
We literally could almost count them all on 2 hands, which made weeding the process a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And honestly, what we did from there is we just opened up each donor profile and we looked at the medical history and we chose the healthiest one, the one that had the cleanest medical history. Medical history is not an easy thing to look at because you are looking at the donor, you're looking at any siblings that they have, you're looking at parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins.
Yeah.
I know more about my donor's medical history than I know about my own family's medical history. It is extensive, to say the least.
Yeah, and that was important to me. That was first the way I chose our donor, and the way I looked at all the donors was I found someone First, I want to point out, I actually looked at people who were born around the same age as us, because if our child ever wants to have a relationship with the donor, which we are totally pro, like we have no problems or issues with that, that they be relatively age appropriate and not like 60 now, so that in 20 years when they're interested, they have, like, the person is 80 when, you know, they're like, and their parents are like, I don't
significantly
know,
older.
What are we going to be in 20 years? But like, you know,
we wound up choosing someone with the same birth year as us.
That's just a coincidence, but like a good coincidence that we actually are very happy with. Their donor profile is actually very extensive, and that's separate from the medical history. The medical history is one thing. The donor profile is like, what's their eye color? What's their hair color? What's their hair texture? Like, is it curly? Is it straight? Is it thin? Is it thick? Their
facial features,
facial features,
SAT scores,
right? Like things like, what sports do you play? Do you play any sports? Do you play any instruments? Like, and that kind of thing.
Just to give you guys an idea and some reference, my dad was a sperm donor a bajillion years ago, and I have found 6 bio siblings, which I also have wrote a blog post about. And the only thing that my bio sibs knew about their donor was that he was 6 foot, Jewish, played the saxophone, which is hilarious because my dad does not play that anymore, and was in medical school. That was it. They knew, and he was HIV negative. Those are the only things that they knew. And here I am
with
a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty cool. You definitely are getting what you pay for. And knowing that they're medically vetted and mentally vetted. And I think the other 2 cool things that they provided, that the California Cryobank provide, is they have these express yourself sections. And so if any donor is musically inclined or creatively inclined in one way, they can submit certain samples. So for our donor, he submitted a personal essay and a poem that we get to keep, that we get to have and read. So I think that was really kind of cool to have that little bonus.
We also got an audio recording of their interview, of like him talking
to someone at the California Cryobank.
Questions, like an interview.
So we got to hear his voice. And then the other thing that I think that they also provide for all donors are staff impressions. So it's a quirky thing. I really enjoy it. It kind of makes everything a little more human. And that's how we chose our donor.
All right, so once you've chosen your donor, you're gonna have a few options. First, you're gonna choose washed or unwashed. And we didn't know what that meant at the beginning, but we'll explain it now. And then secondly, you're gonna have to choose how many vials you choose. So let's get into that and kind of hopefully help you out with that.
So washed versus unwashed sperm, things I never thought I was going to have to say or need to know. So we chose unwashed sperm. And the reason why was honestly because that's what our doctor told us.
Yeah, ask your doctor, if you're using a doctor, what they prefer, because there is a price difference.
There's a price difference, and there is a science behind it. We knew we were going to be trying to conceive via IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. So essentially that's the turkey baster method at the doctor's office. We did actually try to do it at home first. We did do 1 cycle at home with 2 vials. And we had our sperm, we brought it home, we thawed it, we turkey baster method at home. I kept my legs in the air for 20 minutes, which does nothing. So we tried at home with 2 vials for 1 cycle. It was not successful. And what we came to learn from talking with our doctor and with a few friends who are in this field was that when you use a sperm bank where it's been previously frozen and then thawed, it loses some of that motility. So I didn't think we were going to be successful trying it at home again, which is why we went to the doctor.
But I will say that a lot of people have been successful. So like our word is not the only word.
It's not science, and it's not the truth. But what they do at our doctor's office, the reason we picked unwashed sperm is at the doctor's office, they wash it for you before, even if you brought in washed sperm, our doctor was going to wash it anyway.
And I will say that wash does not mean just like in the sink.
Hosing down.
Right?
So what it means
it's a medical term.
After they've thawed the sperm, there are some sperm that obviously don't make the thawing process. So they're able to separate the live sperm from the dead sperm. And then with the live sperm, the way our doctor told us, the way he described it is he kind of injected them. He activated them. It's like he gave them a shot of Red Bull. He put the blinders on like you were at a horse race. And then when they inject it into you, they swim. And it was successful.
That's how I saw it in my head.
So we went with unwashed sperm because our doctor told us to, and he was going to wash the sperm anyway. And it was lower in cost. So that also made us very happy. And then in terms of how many vials we chose 12.
Yeah, we chose 12. I don't know if that's what everyone needs, but they have a program called Family Today, Family Tomorrow.
And what that program is if you buy at least 10 vials, you get 3 years storage free.
And why do you need 10 vials all at once? If it's important to you to have your children be siblings, full siblings, or at least half siblings, you want to buy the amount of vials that you need for the most amount of children you would want. And they're saying that you need about, on average, for a healthy, fertile woman out in the wild, it could take about 5 tries to get pregnant. If you're not tracking anything, no science is involved. So 5 vials times how many kids do we want in our perfect world? 4. That's 20 vials. Why did we stop at 12 vials? Money. Yeah. So we did what we had budgeted for, and that allotted us 12, and we knew we needed at least 10 to get this 3 years of storage for free. So the math just, it was a simple math equation for us. And we do know people who have gone to the California Cryobank and bought 1 vial because they only wanted 1 kid right now, and they will deal with the situation later.
Right. Every family is different. Some there's people that we know where they don't care if the donor that they use is the same or different. For us, that was another important factor. So we wanted to get as many vials as we can within the budget that we had. And just a quick shout out to our family and friends, since it is our wedding anniversary today. For our wedding, instead of asking for, a china and a blender and a toaster.
Or a honeymoon fund.
Or a honeymoon fund, we asked people to donate to our future family fund, is what we actually called it. Mm-hmm. And people were generous and kind and gracious. And that money that we got from our wedding, we put in a savings account. And that is what has afforded us to buy all these little sperm babies.
Yeah, that literally was what had us be able to pull the trigger, figuratively and literally, in order to start a family. But let me go back to why you want to buy more vials than you think you might need at currently, is because of the ethics that California Cryobank holds themselves to. If they hit the number of siblings allowed, they won't sell you your sperm donor again. And that's just how they operate. And you may have children from this donor, but if they're at their capacity, that donor now gets shelved and they don't actually sell that sperm anymore. So you really do want to do some critical thinking. The representative from California Cryobank will talk to you all about this, and that's a decision that you make, and they give recommendations. They tell you what people have done in the past, but ultimately it is your choice, but they are there to hold your hand, which is really nice.
And they have the answers to all the questions.
Yeah, we thought we were going to just get 4 vials because we wanted 4 kids, but
1 vial is 1 try.
Yeah, exactly.
So whether you're doing, actually I think with our doctor, if we were to do the IVF route, if we were to do an egg retrieval and then create embryos, we do 2 vials per egg retrieval. So essentially it's 1 to 2 vials per try. And we got very lucky and feel very fortunate and feel very blessed, that with each IUI that we did, we got pregnant. So that gave us, some extra sperm in the bank.
And there is a buyback program if you end up not using the sperm within an allotted time period.
So if you have your family, they're complete, you still have some extra sperm in storage with them, they will buy it back, not at full price, but there is a buyback program. So I think that's...
I also will say that the storage fee is not very expensive.
No.
Afterward, if you don't hit that like promotional price point, then I think for the storage, it's not that bad.
We touched on this a little bit prior about reporting the pregnancy, so that California Cryobank does ask that you report any pregnancies, births, what have you, so that they can actually keep track and manage how many families are getting that donor and keep track of how many siblings are created and made in the world. And what's really neat is the form, it's a form online. It takes 30 seconds to fill out. And then once you are pregnant, they send you a little keepsake box with a USB, because that is how much information they have on your donor, that you get to keep this little keepsake box with the USB drive, and it gives you everything that they have on that donor, which I kind of think is really cool. Because like I was telling you guys about my biosibs, they had nothing about their bio dad, my father. And so I think it's kind of cool to have that just as a little memento.
Yeah, California Cryobank actually has a sibling registry that they offer within their, it's free for anyone from the California Cryobank. They let siblings and connect, and parents connect. We have not personally set up ourselves with that, so we can't tell you about it, but we figured that if our children start to have questions, we will go that route, and we're happy to. It's just not our choice.
We're following their lead.
Yeah.
We also have something to share with you. The California Cryobank, if you go onto their website and you use promo code SharonMoms, it will give you a 90-day free access to their level 2 subscription. So you get to just see a little bit more. You get to kind of peek behind that curtain a little bit more. It's
filter and look at all the donors. You
just get access to what you can see more of. So if you go to California Cryobank, be sure to use promo code SharonMoms. You can create an account. It's free to create an account. It's free to use our promo code. So if you're still undecided with what sperm bank to do, this is a really great access to kind of seeing what they have to offer and the donors available. Let us know if you've chosen California Cryobank and what your experience is. We want to hear from you. If you have any other questions for us, please comment below, so that when we do a follow-up video or a blog or Instagram Live or wherever else you can find the Sharon Moms in the wild, that we can be sure to answer your questions.
Exactly. Yeah, that sums it up perfectly.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. I love you.
I love you.